Put the B on top. Da. Yeah, see, that's that sound. It's a really pretty sound, very ethereal. All I'm doing, believe it or not, is just running up and down a C scale. But that's the beauty again of the modes, is that once you learn, hey, we're in the key of C, improvisation is made easy that way, because you know that the F Lydian is the 4 of C, so we have the F major chord. With that B note sounds really, yeah, hold that B, beautiful. B's a sharp 4 from F. You have 1, 2, 3, sharp 4. That's a quirky note. It's kind of mysterious for a lot of people because of these fancy names. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. These Greek names that they are assigned to, these are church modes, essentially. And that's the color tone. Yeah, do that again. Yeah. So again, that's a very striking sound. I use it as an ending chord sometimes, or if you just want that flavor. That's the Lydian mode. Especially in film, they use modes so much. So the word modes really to me is moods. You really create moods right away. You can control, as a writer, a composer, songwriter, you can control the mood by knowing which mode to be targeting and instantly get these different colors. So I think that's really very important, is to know your modes and then be able to identify it when you hear it. That's why we got a jam, so we can, bathe in that Phrygian mode, and you'll know that this sound, you'll know that's Phrygian every time you hear that gunfight scene, those spaghetti westerns too. And it's nice to know your chord. You're immediately going to have a half step. So here's E minor. That's the chord that would go with Phrygian. That's why I wrote the 3. But you get this. There's that E minor. See how dark that is? So I went E. And I'm just staying on one string just for fun. What really defines the mode are the chords and or the note you really hang around. That makes a song modal, okay? But the funny thing is, we're in the key of C. So when you're jamming in a modal song, my recommendation is always know what's the big picture, what's the parent scale, meaning what would the key be? Yes. Are either the 2nd degree or the 6th degree. And then those combinations and or variations, that will bring out the modal flavor. On Phrygian mode, it's the flat 2 and the flat 6, the darker notes. So you can just kind of hang on those notes to bring out the Phrygian flavor. Here's your lesson on modes. We're going to take a C major scale. Can you tell me a C major scale, everybody? C, D. Let's just name the scale, no chords for now. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Everybody play it. This way today. Yeah, C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. It's kind of mysterious for a lot of people because of these fancy names. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. These Greek names that they are assigned to, these are church modes. Here are the names of them. Basically, I'm just going to tell you what they are and kind of demystify what they are, and hopefully you'll learn the names as well as the sounds. So the first one is C Ionian, and that really is the parent scale. That's the major scale. That is C major. So that's just a fancy way of saying play C major scale. If you said play me an Ionian mode, that's the parent scale. You're playing C to C. D Dorian is, and this is kind of, again, funny that you call these fancy names, but these are just fancy names for a scale starting on a note other than C, but we are in the key of C. So if you ran D to D in the key of C, you now have a D Dorian mode. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. So here's D Dorian mode. And it's nice to know your chord. Yeah, and that's Dorian mode. Okay, we'll jam on these together in a second. But what's funny is that, hey, we're just in the key of C. What really defines the mode are the chords and or the note you really hang around that makes a song modal, okay? But the funny thing is, we're in the key of C. So when you're jamming in a modal song, my recommendation is always know what's the big picture, what's the parent scale, meaning what would the key be? Yes. Steps, and I didn't draw the half steps, but the half steps are here. If you guys remember from day one, we have half between 3 and 4, and a half step from 7 to 8. So again, whole, whole, half, whole, whole, whole half is your major scale formula. So again, once we have the C major scale, now we can have different starting points, and each one of these can have their own name, and that's where these names come in. So, and I'm going to write in the chords again too. The 1 is major, the 2 is minor, the 3 is minor, and the mode that would go with it is called a Phrygian mode. It's kind of a darker sound. We'll hear it in a second, kind of Spanishy. And then the 4th is major, and it's called Lydian. And the 5 is major, just the basic chord, just triad, and that's called the Mixolydian mode. And we'll hear that when we jam on Norwegian wood. And then Aeolian, the 6, is minor, and that's called the Aeolian. We've been calling that the natural minor scale, right? Like if I said, okay, key of C, you have A minor, it's a natural minor. The modal name for that is called the Aeolian mode. And then this one, the diminished, the 7, is Locrian. The next step, by the way, is to write out the formulas for each one of these. So that's where I'm going to go with this today, is to say the numbers for the Ionian mode. The Ionian mode is the easiest one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's because of what we've done labeling with half steps and whole steps already. But then these ones will be the modified from the major scale. So the Dorian mode will be 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 8. And that's the formula. So I want to make sure you know the formulas for each one of these modes. And I have a worksheet I'll send to you guys via PDF. Has all this on there, and even fingerings on the guitar, but it has the formulas. But I'll just write that down just to kind of go through it. But again, everybody play a C major scale. I'm going to present it to you this way today. Yeah, C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I'm doing it like this. I'm going C, D, E, F, G, A, B natural, and a C. And I'm going to label that with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Dorian mode, if you started on D and you went D, E, F, well, look at D to E. You have 1, 2, and then to the F, it's a flat 3. Do you guys all see that? It's not F sharp, it's F natural. And by the way, we're just running D to D within the key of C. So we have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, C natural, and 8. It's all intervallic stuff here. So if we're going D, E, F, these modifications, the numbers, are all based off of the major scale. So if I said 1, 2, flat 3, if I said 1, 2, 3, major, major, but 1, 2, flat 3 is this. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6. Flat 7, 8. And that's Dorian. A lot of old-time stuff is like this. Old-time music, use that Dorian modal flavor. So again, that's that Dorian color. And jazz, if you know this song. Miles Davis, that's So What? That's a modal tune too. That's D Dorian mode. So again, you can use this in any style, it doesn't matter. But the focus is around that D minor chord. And even though we're in the key of C. So that's the importance of the mode, is that it allows you to be in different regions, basically, of C and create different flavors, as you'll see. Right now we only got to Dorian, but Phrygian's going to be next. We're going to hang in the land of the Phrygian mode. Like you're immediately going to have a half step. So here's E minor. That's the chord that would go with Phrygian. That's why I wrote the 3. But you get this. There's that E minor, see? How dark that is? So I went E. And I'm just staying on one string just for fun. I'll do it here, E. 1, flat 2, flat 3. And that's Phrygian mode. Hear how dark that is? And why is it so dark? Because I'm hanging around that E minor chord. And that my home note is E. Even though we're in the key of C. The big picture is we're in the key of C. But if you play that E, and you're going, it's gonna sound pretty dark. Yeah, it's definitely kind of sounds. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that was my first experience really with modes, is hearing it like that in movies, whether it's like Superman flying in the air. You have this Lydian mode. John Williams, film composers, use this stuff all the time. They create these moods, you know, and then but what you just said, the whole we associate it with, you know, like movies and stuff too. Hearing it, movie themes, especially in film, they use modes so much. So the word modes really to me is moods. You really create moods right away. You can control, as a writer, a composer, songwriter, you can control the mood by knowing which mode to be targeting and instantly get these different colors. So I think that's really very important, is to know your modes and then be able to identify it when you hear it. That's why we got a jam, so we can, you know, bathe in that Phrygian mode, and you'll know that this sound, you know, you'll know that's Phrygian every time you hear that gunfight scene, those spaghetti westerns too. Okay, so Phrygian is 1, 2, flat 3, and it immediately has a half step. That's the flat 2. So if you start on E, it's gonna go E, F, and then G. I mean, again, it's just a C major scale. That's what's so funny. But if you're thinking the formulas, is 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, and then 8. So again, that's all modified from what would be an E major scale. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. Now we just have E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And that's a Phrygian mode. It's pretty dark. The more flats you get, the darker it sounds. Again, this is all modified from a major scale. Yeah, do that again. I know, it's just all white keys on the piano, but now I'm hearing that see? And if you hang around the E, if you especially get that, can you fiddle a little bit there too, Robert? So I'm gonna just play an E minor chord, and you guys can just goof around, but even though you're in the key of C, your focus should be E. Just make sure you get us, pull us to E. But here it is on the guitar. 1, flat 2. And I'm going to talk numbers because you know it's E, F, G, A, B, C. But 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, octave. So notice this interval game we had played before where I said, okay, 1, 5, flat 6, 5, flat 7. And I'm bouncing back to E constantly. Octave, flat 6. Sorry, my bad. 5, 4, flat 3, flat 2, 1. There's our Phrygian mode. And you guys can just goof around with that. Yeah. It's just key of C. It's just all the white keys, but your home note's gonna be E, the focus. You're gonna wanna resolve to E. Yeah. So again, as soon as you do this, do, 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 and we kind of, that really brings out the Phrygian mode when you hear those melodic motifs. Okay, let's go on to Lydian. We know it's a major chord, so we know the formula is going to be 1-3-5 in it because it's a major chord. We need to know the 2 and the 6 and the 7. But we actually already have done some of that work. We already know that the 7 is major, so we already have 4 notes out of the 7. We know it's going to be 1, 3, 5, 7. If that makes sense. Yeah. Do 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 do. 1, 5, 7. And then now we need to know what kind of 2 and what kind of 6 and 4, 2 and 4 and 6 do we have? Well, F to G, thanks Robert, is 2, regular 2, and then 3 to 4 is, yes, this is where it gets tricky. A to B is a whole step, not a half step, so we're going to have a sharp 4. That's what makes the Lydian sound the way it does, that sharp 4. Not a B flat, but a B natural. And then, yeah. Beautiful. So you have an F major chord. Here's F major. This is the Superman, the flying in the air sound. Can you just hold that chord? F major. That's that, especially if you put some strings on there, on the B on top. Da. Yeah, see it's that, that's that sound. Da. Yeah. It's really pretty sound, very ethereal. And all I'm doing, believe it or not, is just running up and down a C scale. But because that's the beauty again of the modes, is that once you learn, hey, we're in the key of C, improvisation is made easy that way, because you know that the F Lydian is the 4 of C, so we have the F major chord with that B note sounds really, yeah, hold that beat, beautiful. And that's, when you hear that sound, that's kind of, I mean, for me, the description is very kind of, again, ethereal, have that kind of major, it's not minor, it's not sad, but it's kind of this introspective. That's Lydian. Lydian has a very cool sound. Well, that's the color tone. That's the sharp 4.
Oh, okay.
B's a sharp 4 from F. You have 1, 2, 3, sharp 4. That's the quirky note. We're not in the key of F. We would sound like this. That would be a B flat. But we're in the key of C, so you need a B natural. And that's the color tone. Yeah, do that again. Yeah. So again, that's a very striking sound. I use it as an ending chord sometimes, or if you just want that flavor. That's the Lydian mode. Here we go. And that's the G Mixolydian mode. I kind of brought out. That's a flat 7. That's what gives it character of the Mixolydian flavor. Okay, that's where we learn that songs can be in a mode, but there's still a big picture. That's, to me, as an improviser, I gotta know what key am I in the big picture. In this case, all the white keys, key of C. That makes it easy for us to just, I'm just thinking key of C stuff. I just know that my home note is G, modal. So that's, again, a modal progression. And this is very similar to Norwegian wood, you know, in this key. Aeolian mode, and this is, by the way, the most common minor sound. This is the natural minor. When you hear Stairway to Heaven, that's the natural minor scale. When you hear Layla, all those type of songs, natural minor. Well, obviously very similar to Stairway is All Along the Watchtower. That's natural minor. That's also all in the Aeolian mode. So Aeolian is just another way of saying natural minor. And we have 1, 2, flat 3. Next week's lesson, we'll talk about how to mix and match these modes. And that's often called modal interchange. Some songs, they'll be in Dorian, or sorry, it'll be like Aeolian, and then all of a sudden you hear Dorian, and then back to Aeolian, and then we haven't gotten to this. Next term, harmonic minor. Oh no, we did. And then back to Aeolian, Dorian. So some songs will mix and match these to where you kind of have to be careful and hit the right note as they might change within a chord progression, and that becomes super fun and yet tricky at the same time because you got to get the right color note, the change. 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, and then 8. So B half diminished. I'm gonna play B minor 7 flat 5, and you can just go. Again, it's a darker flavor, you know. Or C Ionian, D Dorian, E Phrygian, F Lydian, G Mixo, Aeolian, B Locrian, and then back to C Ionian. So I was kind of giving each, for me as a jazz player, this is why you got to know what the Roman numeral, the position of the chord is. Is it the 2 or is it the 6? Because that's going to determine the mode. You know, is like you got to know. It's not just a minor 7 chord is not good enough, because you got to know in the big picture, is it functioning as a 2, 3, or the 6? So if I saw this D minor 7 and I know it's a 6, I'm going to play Aeolian. But if I know I'm in the key of C, I'm going to play Dorian. So it's funny that you can see a D minor 7 chord and not know if it's a 2, 3, or the 6. You got to have context to the song.